action sports athletes continue to push the boundaries of what's possible in their sports.
I can't think of anything else that people do athletically that can compare to what street skateboarders do.
The skateboard video part is without question the most important aspect of a professional skateboarder's career.
There's nothing but this mental and physical challenge between you and the skateboard. They say the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting different results, and I could say that's skateboarding.
What's up and welcome to World of X Games. Today we celebrate 10 years of Real Street. I'm Brandon Graham and I'm joined alongside the founder, the godfather of Real Street, Mike Sinclair. Mike, it's crazy to think this idea that you came up with 10 years ago has turned into this monstrosity of content that fans look forward to every year. So right out the gate, Real, how'd you come up with it?
I came up with the idea in 2009 where I was just wanted to showcase what was going on in the streets, and it's a side of skateboarding that's like true to me and kind of what I grew up looking at my whole life, and I felt like X Games wasn't involved on that side of it. You know?
Right.
So we decided to pick a group of skateboarders that aren't traditionally in contests and to film a 1-minute video part and submit it and have it judged and judged by the fans as well.
How did you come about figuring out who was going to judge at least the first ones?
So the first year, I asked legendary skateboarders that have dropped amazing milestone video parts, right? And the first year it was Jeff Rowley, Pat Duffy, Jamie Thomas, Ed Templeton.
Heavy hitters.
So I thought that would be the best group of guys.
Sure.
I still think it's the best group of guys
Right.
to judge a video part. From 2011 to 2018, it was the skateboard media guys.
Right.
I just always have wanted to be a non-biased contest, and it's just the feeling that you get from watching that video part.
Yeah.
Everybody that I explained it to, they went in, right? They delivered their minute video part, and it's still something that people watch to this day, and it holds its weight, and super thankful that they believed in the contest and that it's still here 10 years later.
Yeah, and then the fan vote has become a huge part of it too. And what I love about that is anyone can sit down and watch all the video parts and then make their pick. And over the last decade, not one year has the fan vote and the judging panel award winner
They've never met.
been hand in hand. That blows my mind.
Me too. The feeling that a kid gets from seeing these video parts is gonna be totally different, and it shows from what the judges are looking for.
Yeah.
So it's gonna line up one year. I know it. So I don't know. When it does line up, we'll have another show about that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Mike, we really appreciate it, man. We thank you for creating this Real Street universe, which then gave legs to every discipline that we do. Real wake, real snow, real ski, real BMX, real moto, real mountain. We've done it all, you know, so it's really neat to see real women, real backcountry. So it's turned into this Goliath of content, but it all started with Real Street, man. So we really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, I appreciate ESPN and X Games allowing me to do this.
Well, we're just getting started here today. In the building, the MUSKA. That's right, one of the most influential skateboarders of all time, Chad Muska, will be joining me here on the set as we break down all of the year's videos over the last 10. Just don't go anywhere. World of X Games when we return. Welcome back to World of X Games. It's 10 years of Real Street that we're celebrating here today, and I am honored to be joined by one of the best to ever do it, a legend in skateboarding, Chad Muska. Dude, thanks for coming by.
Good to
Check
see
out
you.
our studios here. We got the Muska in Bristol.
It's an honor to be
Just
here.
feels right, man.
Thank you for having me.
Well, as I said, a true legend. You absolutely pioneered handrail skateboarding as we know it today, and so influential video part-wise. I know I've told you this before. Shorties, for me, was such an amazing era. Fulfill the Dream is still my favorite video of all time, man. So to have you here as we celebrate video contests here at X Games is truly extraordinary.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and share my love for skateboarding and see street skateboarding brought to this platform. It's such a beautiful thing that the world gets to see this.
Obviously, Real Street is rooted in something that's very near and dear to your heart. Let's go right out the gate. 2010, Nick Trapasso winning gold. That's a part that I look back at that could come out in 2019 and still be a big.
Oh, that part's amazing, yeah. And his style and the way he flows, the trick selection, everything about it, the way it all came together is such an amazing part.
Yeah, Nick Trapasso obviously winning gold. And then Tony TAVE, what I love about it is you saw so quickly differentiating styles, where their background, where they picked to skate, the music, everything was on display that first year. Trapasso winning gold, Tony TAVE, and then ZARED BASSETT winning fan favorite.
Yeah, that was definitely my favorite with the parts too, because just to see ZARED, this powerhouse East Coast guy, come in and just shredding all these like gritty core spots in New York, and you know, he's just one of my favorite skaters in general. So yeah, ZARED always is a standout for me.
2011 is really when I think Real Street got going, because you got buy-in not just from guys that you didn't necessarily see on the contest circuit, but you also started seeing those guys like Ryan DeCenzo, our first true legend, Day One Song, getting involved, and of course Silas Baxter-NEAL winning gold. That was such a different vibe from a lot of the other skating and a lot of the parts that we had seen. I mean, that guy is Portland to his bones.
Yep, yeah, I mean, skateboarding is constantly evolving, you know, and into different regions and all these places, and Silas just breaking it off in Portland, you know, that just brought a whole new element and vibe to the spot.
And then I gotta touch on Brandon Westgate.
Yep.
Because everybody loves Westgate. That power, the speed, that East Coast grittiness, that style was fully on display.
Yeah, Brandon's another one that, like, similar to ZARED, like I said, you know, he just came out and just is just powerful. You see him, it just pop. Every trick he does is with so much confidence, you know.
One guy we do have to touch on, he didn't place in that contest, but that certainly didn't define who he was by any means, because his style is one of the most influential of all time, gone too soon. Dylan RIEDER.
Yeah, Dylan is one of the best to ever do it, and one of the rare kids that came in and changed skateboarding forever. And from the way that they dress to the music they listen to, the trick selection that they do, Dylan made an impact on skateboarding that will never be forgotten.
There has been talk of open land through the city and over the hill lies a field that's not been touched by human hands, and it's a mystery. It's not been seen, but it'll be eaten up, nonetheless. The time has come, the city has seen, they know the lies behind the trees, and you can beg, and you can plead, but nobody can save that mystery. They traveled from across the continent to put in their 2 cents.
So much love and respect for Dylan and all of his friends, and the whole kind of vibe that he started is still happening right now. We see it, his influence having a stronghold on the industry to this day.
Yeah, well, we caught up with some in the industry and fellow skaters who look back at Dylan RIEDER's life. Let's take a look.
I think skateboarding in general, you know, we lost a rebel. We lost like what we love about skateboarding. You know, this guy who just march to his own beat. And we lost him at such a young age, you know. To me, Dylan was just getting started.
Skateboarding, it's so simple. He was more than a skateboarder.
He changed skateboarding, the way people looked, the way people skated, the way people dressed.
Whether or not you were to talk to him or watch him skate, it kind of would just stop everything in its path. Yeah, he would change people's lives.
The way he did tricks was so beautiful. If there was a DNA of a perfect skateboarder, it would be Dylan.
It was just second nature for him. It was too easy for him.
He lived a life that none of us will ever live 3 times. He was the strongest dude I've ever met, and he never gave up once, he never gave up on life, and he lived it all the way to the fullest.
He affected people in a way that is just timeless.
And we're back. Brando alongside Chad Muska, 10 years of Real Street. We've been running through the years, and now it's time for perhaps the most infamous year of Real Street over the last 10, 2012. The greatest rivalry, dare I say, came before us in 2012, Nyjah Huston versus Jaws.
Wow, 2 powerhouses,
Yeah.
by far.
2 completely different styles and approaches.
2 kings of their own realms, right?
No, there's no doubt about it. And we begin with Nyjah. At that time, we're talking about the beginning, the ascension of dominance for Nyjah Huston. 2011 and 2012 were extraordinary years for him on the contest circuit, right?
Yep.
He was going undefeated in Street League. He was winning X Games gold medals. He was becoming that contest skateboarder. But those who knew him well, especially you, who used to ride alongside him, knew what a grinder he was.
I saw something brewing up in the streets firsthand, and I was like, okay, we saw Nyjah as a little kid who came out and shocked the world by what he did as a little kid. Then we saw him start to age and kill the contest circuit and win all those things. And then it was time for him to show what he had in the streets, and he did it.
Nyjah Huston, oh so good, was focused on this, quoted as saying this was a new challenge for him, and just like everything else contest-wise, he tackled it and then some. Such an impressive video part.
And not to mention Jaws, you know.
Jaws Smokey took the word right out of my mouth. You want to talk about another ripper, but just completely contrasting style. Is there another skateboarder in the world where you grab your knees?
No, like I said, I think Jaws wakes up in the morning and just rolls off his roof to start the day.
Yeah, doesn't even film it.
Yeah, just to get warmed up, you know.
Right.
He rolls off of his rooftop.
one goes more massive than Jaws, and that was put on display in that part. And what I love about it is you start to hear the stories, the behind-the-scenes stories of these reel contests. And once Aaron heard that Nigel was involved, he said, I gotta step my game up. And that's what forced him to go to El Toro for that ender.
And kickflip backside grab El Toro. I mean, to this day, another one. I mean, when you see these tricks that can stand the test of time, I mean, that really speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And that trick, nobody to this day is still doing that on a regular basis, you know, things like that. And it's just mind-bending that he's able to do that stuff.
It was such a battle at that point, and it's dealer's choice, right, from a judging panel on, you know, who you see winning it. Obviously, Nigel Houston ends up with gold, Jaws settling for silver, Taylor Bingaman taking third, Colin Provost, the fan favorite. But there were some really interesting names in this list as I run it down. Bobby Warris, Chris Haslam, Daryl Angel.
Was Fred Gall was even in this one, right?
Was in Real Street 2012.
My boy, Freddie.
Amazing. Of course, Corey Kennedy, who was just busting on the scene. It was cool to see him, but really this will be the year that we always remember as Jaws v. Nyjah. Let's hear them in their own words as they talk about their parts from back in 2012.
In 2012, Real Street was the first like official video contest I had seen before, and I mean, I thought it was a cool idea, you know?
When I heard that Nyjah was gonna be in this contest, I automatically thought he's gonna be the biggest challenge. It's either like I go 110% or just like don't even try because Nyjah's gonna win. And then I tried.
Jaws was definitely my biggest competition. He was just known for that dude that just sent it down anything. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna send it. I think at that time I was like 17, and back then I was just a machine. I could go out there literally day after day and just get clips. There's sometimes we would skate all throughout the day, light up spots, skate throughout the night, and there was even a couple times where we'd continue skating into the next morning. It's a gnarly part. I think at least like half the tricks in there, like I definitely would not want to do again.
I made the decision, okay, I'm gonna do kickflip melon El Toro for this. We planned it out, drove to California, and that was one of the missions was to go get that trick. And that was like one of the first things that we got. And then so I was like, okay, I can build around that.
With any video part, you always need a solid ender to finish it off. And front bump down La Jolla seemed like a solid ender for me. It was a mission, the session. It was getting kicked out, taking slams, trying to rush and go back. It's just, it's a whole nother side of skateboarding. But even if it looks like I did it easy, it's not always that easy, you know? You have to deal with a lot of other things in street skating.
Nyjah won, I got second. I put everything I could into that, so I'm proud of it. If I had to get beat by someone, I'll get beat by Nyjah.
Yeah, when I found out I won, I was definitely stoked. No matter how big contest skating is, no matter how many X Games there is, street skating is always going to be important. And I've obviously won a ton of contests before, but I've also done my time in the streets.
I would come back and compete in Real Street again. Just don't invite Nyjah.
When we come back, we talk the legend, Guy Mariano, and get in depth with Austin Gillette and his unique approach to filming his Real Street part. More from World of X Games after this. Welcome back to World of X Games. We're celebrating 10 years of Real Street. We move on to 2013, the legend of all legends, Chad. We got Guy Mariano in the mix.
One of the best to ever do this.
Yeah, it was amazing to see Guy Mariano. Had nothing to prove, had decades worth of legendary parts, and to come and do Real Street and to put it down the way he did was amazing to watch.
it's really hard to come off of a part like that and to continue drop a part after one after another like that. And you know, he came through and does what guy does, wins the gold.
David Gravette not only taking second place that year, but also the fan favorite, just crushing rails throughout.
Yeah,
that
how many kinks were in that rail? Like
insane.
10 kink rail or something? Yeah, he killed it.
And then PJ Ladd obviously rounding out our top 3. We move on to 2014. I love this year because the mentality changed. Clint Walker, and if you know Clint, you know his personality, but he said, I'm coming to win. And he did just that.
Yep, Clint came in and said, you know, I'm gonna win this thing, you know, and Clint's character, standard character, and he did. He stayed true to his words and took the gold.
Yeah, second place, Wes Kramer. You want to talk about a year for a skateboarder. You take second place in Real Street. Oh, by the way, also Sodi, Thrasher Skater of the Year 2014. Yep. It was good to be Wes Kramer.
Yeah, Wes is one of the best and another just raw street skater, you know, skate mafia.
And Forrest Edwards, rounding out our top 3. He is an absolute maniac on his skateboard. In that part, it was fully on display.
What a beast, just out of control, but in control somehow, just flailing everywhere, that 360 flip, 50-50 down the handrail. I mean, those tricks are still completely insane to this day.
Yeah, Mikey Taylor was our fan favorite, and obviously Evan Smith, that was our introduction to Evan. He was so much fun to watch. One name though, that was from the year before 2013, Austin Gillette, that I want to hit on because it was a standout part. He did something that at the time was really a breakthrough we had never seen before. His part was filmed entirely on his iPhone. Now in 2019, you're like, what's the big deal? This was 6 years ago. No one had really done that. So let's hear Austin in his own words talk about the approach to the part.
My buddy Raymond, he was just filming videos on his phone because I guess a certain lens just came out, the first fisheye lens on iPhones and whatnot. And so the concept was to film it on a phone. Nobody was really using it in that way. Now there's more pressure having a phone, but then it was just like, it was so new that I guess it was just a little bit lighter. I remember I did the half cab flip over the rail and I was a little hesitant because I was filming it on a phone. Then I realized that this could be a little bit more than a cell phone trick at the time. It kind of happened quickly. I think it only happened quickly because it was on a cell phone. I didn't really think too much about it, we just did it. If I was offered to do it again, I would definitely do it again. Just because now more so than ever, you can't entirely do what you want to do. And Real Street allows you full creative control from front to back, from music to filming to who you film with. So if that opportunity ever arises, I usually gravitate towards it.
We're looking back at 10 years of Real Street. Brandon Graham alongside Chad Muska. We now turn our attention to 2015. Bit of a departure from what we had done previously. We gave out a gold medal for the judges panel winner and a gold medal for the fan favorite. No podium, no second, no third place. And I guess you could call this the battle of the mics, but two completely different generations, Mike Mo and Mike V.
And I think that's so beautiful, that showcases the diversity of skateboarding and how unique it is, and how somebody like Mike V can continue to make such an impact in skateboarding over 25, 30, I don't even know how long it's been, but ever since I was a kid, I've been looking up to Mike.
Yeah, and Mike Mo at that time was really on the come up. I feel like we've known Mike Mo since he really grew up with girl skateboards, like 13 years old. And, you know, you think about all the things he's done in Game of Skate and stuff like that, you know, not necessarily a contest skater, but this stage is really perfect for a skater like Mike Mo. To 2016, and I'll always remember this as an introduction to Chris Joslin. It was an amazing part, still arguably, I think, you know, go back and watch this if you have a chance. The X Games YouTube channel, but his video part is still perhaps one of my favorites, if not my favorite, of all the years we've done Real Street.
Well, like every so often, a skater comes and just pushes the bar of where skateboarding's at, and Joslin is definitely one of those guys, and his flip tricks down these massive sets of stairs and gaps is unrivaled.
Yeah, his big spin ender, which was first try, is still so epic. TOREY PUDWILL.
Yes, TOREY, my boy.
Place. Yeah, and I know everybody loves TOREY.
Yeah, TOREY's one of the best. I've been watching him since he's a little kid, and bag of tricks that nobody else has, and this crazy positive energy that he brings to the life to skateboarding, and I just love TOREY with all my heart.
Yeah, and of course we have to bring up the fan favorite that year, Day One song. We had seen Day One previously in year 2 of Real Street, and he came back around and basically did what Day One does. One of our favorites, a guy we mentioned earlier, Mike V, getting him involved in Real Street was so special. Let's hear him talk about his approach to the contest.
I first started filming skateboarding in 1985. I've had a lot of video parts, but I've always thought there was something more that needed to be communicated. I tried through my video parts, but I don't know that I always succeeded. I think the most appealing aspect of Real Street for me was the opportunity to showcase my skating where it could stand on its own merit. You know, I'd skated so aggressively for so long, and now my skating was getting a little bit more tame. So I thought, well, this is happening to me. I'm 45. It's happening to a lot of other skaters too. So I thought, well, that's relatable. The best feedback I got from Real Street was that it was a re-entry or an entry for so many. So many people either started skating again or began skateboarding because of that video part. They're seeing for the first time, and maybe in a long time, skateboarding being featured on television in a way that makes sense to them. They say, oh man, why did I ever stop? I love skateboarding. I can skate, I can have fun. That guy just had fun. He was just cruising down the street. I can cruise down the street, and I can do that in my own way. But it was that fan favorite voting was the first time I felt like people kind of got it. So many people told me it was the first time they ever put their vote in for something and came out in a positive way for them. It was like, it wasn't, I didn't win it. I didn't win X Games Real Street fan favorite. The people won it. And for that to happen so late in my career was, that was pretty nice. That was pretty meaningful.
More from World of X Games when we return, including highlighting back-to-back gold medalist Cole Wilson, and we recap the 2019 Real Street Video Contest. "2017 ushered in a new era for Real Street as it brought the world's attention to Cole Wilson, who seemingly came out of nowhere to win gold that year in Real Street."
Yeah, man, he just stepped it up and just murdered those handrails, you know, and that feeble grind through the triple kink. I mean, he just really stepped it up.
Yeah, Tiago Lemos taking second, and Chris Jocelyn, surprise, surprise, rounding out our podium that year. We move on to 2018, Cole Wilson doing something we've never seen a skater do in Real Street, and that's win it multiple times, Cole going back to back. Chris Cole getting in the mix, another legend, again, who's done everything there is to do in skateboarding. He wanted to put his name in Real Street, and he did just that.
Yep, and it's so cool that like after this long in his career, he's still just dropping hammers and still making his mark in skateboarding.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Also a silver medal and the fan favorite, no surprise there. And Chris Jocelyn, again, rounding out our top three. You see a common theme here. Once Chris Jocelyn got his claws into Real Street, he would not let go. Also, a great moment about 2018 was our first woman competitor, Samaria Brevard.
Oh man, she broke it off, and I actually picked her as my favorite.
Yeah, tray flips for days. It was really cool to see her in the mix, and Samaria crushes it out at X Games every year as well.
Yeah.
We move on to 2019. This year, I know this one's extraordinarily special for you because you got to serve as an official judge.
It was a very hard task to perform because these guys were just nearly impossible to compare one to another, and Chase Webb, Jamie Foy, Jocelyn again, with probably his heaviest part almost to date in here. It was a very hard thing to judge, and these guys killed it.
Yeah, and Jocelyn having to settle for second place because Chase Webb, in his debut in Real Street, absolutely putting it down, winning gold. Before we talk about that, let's hear from our gold medalist as he talks about his road to Real.
I was 5 years old when I started skating. My dad, in like the 70s, he skated a lot, and then he found a skateboard at work one day, and that's when he brought it home, and that's when I got introduced to it. So I definitely knew I wanted to skate my whole life from the second I started skating.
He's done everything right in skateboarding, in the sense that he's not doing it for a job, he's not doing it, for a gold medal, he's doing it because he actually loves it. He was gonna go grind a 30-stair rail, whether he gets paid to or not.
I was at that point where I was gonna get a job, and then all of a sudden it was just like overnight things were like board sponsor, shoe sponsor, and then went pro, and that's like every skater's dream, like at that moment I was like everything was worth it. That was like the best feeling ever.
Oh my! Surf it out! Surf it out! Yeah, future right here, future!
I'd like to present to you guys the X Games Real Street winners this year. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah! Official. Official.
What a story, Chase Webb. It's a kid that we've talked about before. We wondered where his skate career was going to go. It feels like he's just getting started.
Yep, as starting off as just Nigel's friend. That's kind of what I knew him as, is like his sidekick kind of that got a trick in one of his parts. And he just really took that opportunity and ran with it and delivered one of the best parts we've seen to date.
And Jamie Foy rounding out our top 3. It was such a heavy piece. And it wasn't without some spillage.
Did you see that slam that he took?
All of meat, man. That
Ouch.
I couldn't believe he got up from that.
That was just, most would not walk away. A normal human would have been taken away in a stretcher after that moment, and these guys have just been going off and off and off. There are so many videos compiled with all this. There's over 100 videos made from the Real Street segment.
Over 100 parts have been given to us because of Real Street. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and it really puts into perspective what this contest has done over the last
And they're all available to check out, right?
Absolutely, you're a company man.
Where do you see them at?
X Games YouTube channel. Make sure you check that out and follow along on all things social at X Games. Where do we go from here, Chad?
I mean, skateboarding does not stop. These guys are gonna pick up where this last year left off and continue to progress and push the limits of what is possible on a skateboard. And I can't wait to see what's next.
I can't wait for X Games behind the scenes 20-year anniversary. Let's come back for it, shall we?
I would love to.
Are you in?
I'm in.
It's a deal. All right. Well, for Chad Muska, I'm Brandon Graham. Make sure you follow along at X Games for World of X Games. We'll see you later. Peace.